doitbest.com/Holden-hardware.
One more time.
doitbest.com/Holden-hardware.
WGNS Murfreesboro, W270AF Murfreesboro, W263AI Murfreesboro, Smyrna. We're the Good Neighbor Network, FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, audio and video streaming at WGNSradio.com. This is the WGNS Action Line, talking with Rutherford County newsmakers about what matters most to you. Now your host, Bart Walker.
Well, good morning to you. Beautiful day. Welcome into the Action Line from WGNS. We are focusing on Rutherford County this morning. Rutherford County Mayor Joe Carr is our guest. Did you see the moon this morning? Well, I came in, I guess it was 5 something, and the moon was sort of a quarter moon up in the sky.
Yeah, so I was up at 4:30, Bart. So
you beat me.
Yeah, no, I don't know that I beat you. If you were in at 5 and I'm up at 4:30, I didn't beat you because I'm sure you got up earlier than 4:30.
Beautiful, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was pretty.
The pink sky.
Yeah, we are so fortunate to live here.
Very definitely.
Very fortunate.
Well, how are things on the farm?
The beehives have taken a big hit this fall.
Really?
Yes, and I am getting reports from other apiaries that the losses are somewhat significant. Are
they dying or what?
Yeah, something's going on. We're not real sure what's going on. Normally, my first 3 years, I didn't lose a hive at all. Now, and then the fourth year, first 2 years I didn't lose. The third year I lost a hive, and the fourth year I lost a couple of hives. But that was because I ran for mayor, and being mayor, I couldn't. It just happens, right? You just can't attend to it like you want to. But this year I went into the fall with 18 hives, and I bet you I've lost half of them.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm not sure what's going on. There's plenty for them to eat. I suspect I don't know what's going on with everybody else, but I think it's just a series of coincidences where I had the queen, the queen died. And when the queen dies, then the hive will abscond or scatter and move on either to another hive or just die. And so I think that's what's going on. But I got 7 really strong hives, and I'm purchasing 7 more nukes to build the apiary back up. I like to have around 20 hives, so we'll be okay. Now, I've not experienced this kind of loss before, so it's kind of like it's puzzling to me.
A few years ago, didn't we have some losses in bees?
Oh yeah, several years ago there was the introduction of the varroa mite, which was horrendous on hives. In many cases, hives were completely wiped out, or we were experiencing 80 and 90% losses. So this isn't that, because I treat my hives for the varroa mite every January. So while that may be a small part of it, I'm pretty diligent about treating for that. I think what I had was just a series of events where I had some queen losses, and I wasn't paying attention to replace the queens, and then I lost the hive. So we'll be all right. We're Cedar Snag Farm will have its honey in the late summer.
The world will be great.
The world would be fine with more honey. That's what the world needs, Bart. More honey. And a lot, not just metaphorically either. It really could use more honey.
Well, it is. Your honey is delicious, and all the local honey is delicious.
It is, and it's.
Is that because of the wildflowers?
Yeah, and you can go to Rockvale and buy it from Keith Elrod, who does a great job, and his honey is different in Rockvale and Eagleville than it is in Las Casas and Milton. It's different. And there's the subtle differences in the taste are based on the fauna and when it blooms and that kind of thing. So it's a fascinating thing. I really, really enjoy doing it. I'm looking forward to what the bees are out flying. They're gathering pollen, and you can see the red buds and the maple, and they're all over everything. You can hear them, and they're working it on the dandelion, and yeah, so it's kind of neat.
So when will fresh honey be? I mean, with yours and everybody else, everybody's the same time.
If a beekeeper does it right, he waits until the honey is capped at least 80 or 90%, because that means the moisture content is below 18%, which is critical to keep it from crystallizing and fermenting. And so typically the spring nectar flow is over about mid-June at the latest. And so they cap it from July 1. They cap it through July. And so by the end of July, 1st of August, you're able to harvest. And so just depending on where you're at and how quickly they cap the honey is when you start to harvest.
Okay, so end of March?
End of July.
End of July. Wow, so we have
July.
to be patient.
You have to be real patient. That's why I tell people, I said, you can, when we begin to sell it in September and through the fall, and people go, I'll get some more in the spring. I said, maybe not. Maybe not. And so
you learn once.
We sold out
Yeah.
in December by Christmas of this year.
Wow.
So anyway.
Our phone number, by the way, and you can text messages to us, and we are taking your questions on issues that you're concerned with here in Rutherford County.
Not just the landfill.
No, right. We've
Not just the landfill.
We've beat that one to death. Let's move on to another subject area. Subjects. In fact, here's the one. I didn't even realize this was a problem. A person says education and immigration policies, a proposed bill allowing schools to deny enrollment to undocumented students, has sparked concerns among residents, particularly regarding its impact on education and inclusivity. I didn't even realize that was a problem.
I don't know where to begin with this, Bart. So what we have is the Supreme Court years ago ruled that a child under the age of 18 is entitled to health care, education, and those kind of services provided to any other child, regardless of their legal status. I'm not sure. I haven't read this bill. I'm not familiar with the bill. You know, I tell you, I'm all for inclusivity, but my approach to inclusivity is pretty simple. In that you don't have to worry about being inclusive if you're not exclusive. So just don't be exclusive. Okay. Now, having said that, you know, we do have laws. We're a nation of laws. We're a nation of values and principles. So I understand where those two collide, and I'm respectful of the debate that we need to have to figure out that place where those two conflicting ideas or principles meet, so we can come up with some solid principles and laws that are both that adhere to the values that we have, but also there's a measure of grace and mercy that is inside those policies. I get tired of the constant bickering on either side over an issue like this, and what it's meant to do is just to create more bickering. And things like that don't solve the problem. When we start talking about inclusivity, what we're talking about essentially is somebody's feelings, and you can't base inclusivity based on someone's feelings. We have to do it based on the law. And I do think we as a nation, as a state, and as a county have a moral responsibility to be compassionate, but we also have a moral responsibility to follow the law. But we have to make sure our laws are fair and equitable to all. And that's where I'm at on that.
Let's take a phone call here. You're on WGNS with Mayor Joe Carr. Hi. Did you have a comment?
Hello. They went away.
They were probably thinking swap and shop.
They probably were, and I've got some things to swap, and I need to do some shopping both. So if the caller wants to call back in and talk about that, I may be interested.
Swap with each other.
Yeah, I may be interested, right?
Traffic and infrastructure. We hear all of that with Murfreesboro, but obviously Rutherford County is having an issue too, probably more than other people think we are, especially when you look at the infrastructure. The estimated population for 2025 for Rutherford County, 379,939.
That would be incorrect.
Okay, so what's your
It's not my figure. This is the University of Tennessee Population Research Center.
Okay.
And it is 388,909 as of January 1, 2025. 388-909.
Okay.
And so we are now, and we announced this on your show 2 months ago, Bart.
That.
We talked about this. Come on, Bart, help me out.
I just didn't write the number down.
You didn't write it down. Anyway,
this was some other information that we had.
Well,
here.
we're both old, right?
That's right.
We both have our Joe Biden moments from time to time, right? And so there's going to be a lot of grace extended to both of us.
I hope so.
Yes, we need a lot of grace. But no, we're the fourth largest county in the state, and we're the fastest growing county in the state, and the 42nd fastest growing county in the nation. And that puts a strain on a lot of infrastructure, in particular schools and traffic. And I had an interesting conversation at a chamber event last week with Butch Ely, the TDOT commissioner. And what we're trying to figure out, because TDOT is going to have these two additional lanes that go into Nashville on I-24. What I need Commissioner Ely to understand, and he was very attentive to what I had to say, is it's just not the interstate, but it's the state secondary roads like US 231, like Highway 41A, like 269, these state routes. In many cases, these state routes don't even have shoulders on the road. And we're having developments that are coming off these state routes. And the traffic congestion to these feeder roads to the U.S. highways is significant. So we need the state to invest in their state highways so that the development that we have, it doesn't create more problems. So we need the state and the county to do a better job partnering to relieve that congestion. And we're putting together a plan to do that because traffic is a big issue and it's something that we're going to address. And I'm hopeful that there's a bill in the House and in the Senate that will pass. And essentially what it is right now the state collects a real estate transfer tax on property that is sold. Every bit of that tax goes to the state. It goes to the state fund. None of it stays in the county. And what we're advocating is that, I think it's 6%, whatever that number is, but that number generates about $19 to $20 million every year out of Rutherford County that we send to the state, and we don't get any of that back. What we're proposing is that half of that money stay in the county, and then half of that, or a total of 25%, essentially would go toward road improvement and road projects, which would be a significant contribution to what we're trying to alleviate in the form of congestion.
Now, you mentioned the lanes, the extra lanes that will be going on the interstate.
Yeah.
Will those be the purchased lanes where you buy space on them to use them?
Yeah. That's exactly what that'll be. Right, exactly. And I anticipate that's going to be very, very successful because those who want and can afford to participate in those new lanes will relieve congestion for everybody else in the other four lanes. So I think it's a good idea, and it lets Tennessee enter into a public-private partnership to relieve a problem, and it's been very successful in North Carolina, Georgia, and Texas, and so I expect it to be very, very successful here.
Now, while we're talking about traffic, let's sort of slide a little more into infrastructure and look at schools, and you got fire protection now. We have county fire full time. Yeah,
we do. We're one of just a handful of counties that have a full-time fire and rescue team, which we're very, very proud of, which was started
They do a great job.
They do a fantastic. That was started by Mayor Ketchum before I got here, and of course we're glad to continue the rollout of the build-out. Our latest and the last fire hall or public safety building is in Christiana at the Plainview Elementary site, and that is scheduled to open on or about Labor Day, plus or minus. And so closer to October, I would guess. But in any event, we're excited about the opening of that facility. And then, of course, we have the recovery court that is under construction right now, and that should be complete in about two months.
Tell us a little more about that.
The recovery court is over there at University in Highland, and it services it services the recovery court that is administered by 4 judges in our program. And basically, what it does is it takes somebody who would be otherwise incarcerated and gives them a second chance through a very strict and disciplined program that is overseen directly by the judges. And I'm going to try to do this from memory, so I hope I don't screw it up. Judge Turner, Judge Eyeshide, Judge Tidwell, and Judge McFarland, I believe, are the 4 judges that administer the recovery court program. And there's a veterans court, there's an alcohol court, there's a drug court, those kinds. So there are different courts. But as opposed to somebody spending time in jail, which is very, very expensive on the taxpayer, Judge Don Ash and Mary Schneider years ago, 20 plus years ago, developed this program, and it has been wildly successful. And we have found that for every dollar we invest in this program, we have a $10 return just on the savings of them not being incarcerated, and the recidivism rate just drops precipitously as a result of this program. And it restores lives, it saves money, and it's a wonderful, wonderful thing. So we decided to spend $1.5 million. I decided to spend $1.5 million with the approval of the commission to expand our recovery court and renovate that facility at the corner of Greenland and University. So we're excited about that.
Okay.
That'll reopen in a couple of months, or that wing will open in a couple of months. Let me say that right.
We have another question here, and this is with public input. We're getting issues that I didn't realize were issues. This is dealing with the bus driver contracts. Contracted bus drivers are negotiating for a significant pay raise due to rising costs, including fuel and liability insurance. How are you handling that?
That's an issue for the school board.
Oh, okay.
So the school board will make that decision. That recommendation will be included in their budget, and then the county commission will vote that straight up and straight down. But that recommendation has to come to the county commission from the school board within their budget.
We're looking at issues dealing with Rutherford County. Rutherford County Mayor Joe Carr is our guest this morning. We will be right back after we check on the traffic and weather. Stay with us. If you have a question yourself, text it to us. 615-893-1450. Yeah, text it. 615-893-1450.
A look at the news, views, politics, sports, and people that are shaping Rutherford County. Listen each weekday morning at 9 o'clock for the Roundtable here on News Radio WGNS.
If you're near retirement or thinking about retiring, you probably have a lot of questions. How do you make your savings last? You're ready for retirement, but are your finances? Let's work together to help ensure your finances can keep up with your unique needs over the long haul. I'm Edward Jones Financial Advisor Lee Colvin. Stop by our office in the Public Shopping Center on South Rutherford Boulevard or give us a call at 615-907-7056 for an appointment. Edward Jones, Making Sense of Investing, member SIPC.
Holden Hardware now has an e-commerce site. Go to doitbest.com/Holden-hardware and shop all the items in our warehouse. You can have them shipped directly to you, or most items can be shipped for free to Holden Hardware for pickup. Shop with us in person or go online to doitbest.com/Holden-hardware.
One more time.
doitbest.com/Holden-hardware.
Broadcasting from the Middle Tennessee Electric Studios. Take control of your account management and energy consumption with the MyMTE app. Download from the App Store and manage your account, improve your energy habits, and more. MTE, serving to make life better since 1936.
We'll see mostly sunny skies here this afternoon with a high in the upper 60s. Tonight, mostly clear and a low near 40. By Thursday, sunshine, high of 76 degrees. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki on News Radio WGNS.
Currently, it's 48. Good morning. There's a couple of accidents out here. Here's what we're seeing. Heavier traffic now arriving in the downtown area there. 65, especially at Metro Center. It continues to build on 65 northbound. Just trying to get up through Spring Hill right now. That's slow go from Murray County into Williamson County. Busy, but it's moving on 24 westbound up through Antioch there at Bell Road, Hickory Hollow Parkway. Hey, whether you need a new roof repair, roof inspection, call Independent Roofing Specialist, irsroofs.com. I'm Commander Chuck, your on-time traffic.
Hey, this is Dan with Music World and Drummers Den. Come in for your guitars, keyboards, drums. We have you covered. Our prices will normally meet internet prices. We also have PA and DJ equipment. Some lights, yes, we have that covered too. You can come rent a PA and sound system, do your karaoke, and bring it back. Come see us at Music World and Drummers Den, the one-stop shop where you have everything that you might need. 2762 South Church Street, right across from the golf course.
This is Peter Demas at Demas's Restaurant. One of the other things that we're doing on the remodel is that we're putting in ceiling tiles that have a high absorption for sound and be able to enjoy their meals with their families. We're bringing a lot of the green back, and we're bringing back retro light fixtures. We've added a wall while updating the look and making it a lot more fresh. Now that you've heard about the changes that we're making at Demas's, you need to check it out, so come on over right now. Demas's Restaurant on Northwest Broad Street.
Good morning. There's a couple of accidents out here. Here's what we're seeing. Heavier traffic now arriving in the downtown area there. 65, especially at Metro Center. It continues to build on 65 northbound. Just trying to get up through Spring Hill right now. That's slow go from Murray County into Williamson County. Busy, but it's moving on 24 westbound up through Antioch there at Bell Road, Hickory Hollow Parkway. Hey, whether you need a new roof repair, roof inspection, call Independent Roofing Specialist, irsroofs.com. I'm Commander Chuck, your on-time traffic.
There is no safer place in the storm. Talk Radio WGNS Murfreesboro, FM 100.5, 101.9, AM 1450, TV 11.
Welcome back. Absolutely. Happy birthday to Elijah Reach. Elijah is the winner of that delicious banana pudding from Slick Pig Barbecue. Elijah Reach. And our good neighbor of the day today is Matt Parker. Matt's going to be receiving flowers from Jenny Harrison and the family over there at Ryan Flowers Coffee and Gifts. Let me tell you, if you're looking for an arrangement or a gift, they have it all right there at Ryan Flowers Coffee and Gifts. That will bring a smile to anybody that you know. Give them a call at Ryan Flowers Coffee and Gifts. Welcome back. We're focusing on Rutherford County this morning. Our Rutherford County Mayor Joe Carr is our guest this morning, and we're talking about issues that concern you, issues dealing with the city of Murfreesboro. Here's a question. Sewer system failures. I didn't realize we were having sewer system failures, but people are concerned with the rapid growth that's led to issues with rural sewerage facilities, with many of them failing to meet state standards. Is that something that you've been hearing?
This is the first I've heard of this, and it's an interesting question because it's based, unfortunately, on a premise that would be incorrect. So if the premise is incorrect, it's hard to answer the question factually, but I'll attempt to do that. The Rutherford County does not have a sewer system. Murfreesboro has a sewer system. Smyrna has a sewer system. And Laverne has a sewer system. And Laverne's sewer system is tied into Metro Nashville sewer system.
And Eagleville now has one. A sort.
They have a sand system.
Okay.
But they don't have a sewer plant. So when people typically say sewer system, they're talking about a sewage system that goes to a facility that treats the sewage and then cleans up the water and then redeposit it back in either in the ground or in a stream or something. So Eagle doesn't have that, but they do have a large sand system. Rutherford County does not have a sewer system. And so if the caller is asking about our sewer system, they may be talking about the sand systems that developments have across the county. And to my knowledge, CUD and Roger Goodson who administers those sand systems throughout the county, do a remarkable job. As a matter of fact, they do. Let me plug Roger Goodson and CUD. They do such a good job. They are actually the best in the state at doing that. And other counties look to Rutherford County, specifically CUD, and how they administer and implement those sand systems for developments. If you're in the county and you're not on a sand system, then you are on a private, you have your own septic tank and field line, which services your home. But I'm completely unaware, Bart, of any complaints about our sewer system in that regard. So this is the first I've heard of it. I'll be glad to look into it, but first I've heard of it. Here's
a question from a person who obviously just tuned in.
Good.
Do you have any more honey?
We were out of honey. So I go to Lascassas Feed. Lascassas Feed out in Lascassas. Coy and Jennifer Young, great people. Shout out to those guys. Super Lascassas neighbors. They sell my honey. They got about 80-90% of it last year, and they got the last of it right before Christmas. And they tell me every day, people come in there going, "Where's the Cedar Snag Farm honey?" And they say, "You should have been here in December, not in March." So we're out, and most of the other apiarists are out too. If a listener wants honey, I would call Keith Elrod.
Keith Elrod.
Yeah, he might have some. I don't know that he does, but he might have some.
I want to wish two people some birthdays. We didn't get these in time for the birthday club, but they are celebrating today. Timmy Reynolds, happy birthday to you from your mom and dad. Timmy Reynolds, happy birthday to you. And let's see, we have one more here. Twin great-grandkids. Wow. Lincoln and McKinley Nickerson. Twin great-grandkids.
I have a question since we were talking about birthdays, and there's not much more important than birthdays and baptisms, right?
Yes,
the two
absolutely.
B's. Did you celebrate Cliff Sharp's birthday on Monday?
We did.
Okay. I just,
and John Hood's.
That's right. That's exactly right. I forgot about John. That's exactly right.
The 324 Club.
That's right, the 324. I just want to make
Jim
sure.
Demas.
Huh?
Jim Demas is in that group.
I didn't know Jim Demas was in that group.
Yeah.
But I knew John and Cliff were. And since you're talking about birthdays, I mean, those are two pillars of our community. And they obviously, I see John's picture up there on the wall. And so just want to make sure you did your job, Bart. So I'm glad to know that it was taken care of.
John, if you're listening, happy birthday
Cliff,
again.
if you're listening, happy birthday again. To
nice,
both of you.
Nice folks.
Wonderful, wonderful people. If we had a few more like that, I wouldn't need to be mayor, Bart.
We just would have a perfect community.
We would.
Here's a question about warehouse development. New warehouse projects have raised concerns about traffic congestions, safety measures, and environmental impact.
Yeah, so great question. Because when we have a warehouse development, the traffic congestion and the traffic count is actually much less than if you were to put a residential development in that same location. It just is. However, I'm not insensitive to the type of traffic, like truck traffic, that potentially create a problem. And I know the Planning Commission, chaired by Pettis Reed, and zoning chaired by, Zane Cantrell. Also, Zane Cantrell may have some honey. But those two gentlemen do a wonderful job chairing those two boards and committees for the county and making sure that the citizens have a proper way to address their grievances if they object. And I would encourage anybody, when they hold a meeting and there's something going on in the way of a new development and they have concerns, please reach out to the Planning Commission and reach out to the Zoning Board of Appeals. We have two wonderful chairmen, and it's populated by a good bunch of local citizens.
Here's another question. This one's concerned about the lack of having a forensic center here in Rutherford County.
Finally, we get to the forensic center. Finally. Thank you. I was going to wait, Bart. We're going to get to the end, and I'm not going to talk about what I want to talk about. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
This person's asking about how are we doing with this?
We are done and done Thank you, Jesus. Glory, hallelujah.
Are you saying we're going to see this?
Let me tell you something. This has been a 2.5-year fight. Like it and the transfer station, I don't know what it is. I guess maybe it's the mayor. The mayor wants to do things, and we got some people on the county commission. If I gave them $100 bill, probably we got a handful of people. If I gave them $100 bill, Bart, they would complain because it wasn't 250s. And I think that's just the hand that the county's been dealt, and I hate that because it's unnecessary. But the county commission voted last Thursday night, 17-4, to fund the forensic center. And so we will begin construction of the forensic center on Weekly Lane, about a 16,000 square foot state-of-the-art facility on or about July 1. We'll be breaking ground. And on that same campus, we funded a new EMS station, which we are in desperate need of on the north side of the county, just because of our call volume. And Lisa Kroll has asked for some additional parking because that particular clerk's office is servicing all of Rutherford County. That's in Smyrna and Laverne. And so we're just going to, that whole campus is going to get a makeover, but starting with the Forensic Center. So I want to thank the County Commission and Denise Martin, our forensic director, and just the entire staff for just being diligent in the last 2.5 years and bringing this to fruition. It's going to save the county approximately $500,000 or more every year in reoccurring expense. And we'll offer a service not just to Rutherford County, but surrounding counties. And so we're really excited about it. And I'm glad you brought that up because if you weren't, I was.
I'm happy we had a question about that.
I don't get to spike the football much, but in a very subtle, metaphorical way, Bart, I'm spiking the football. It's something this county needs. It's something we've been working on, and I couldn't be more pleased about the result.
Now, for people who have just tuned in, because people are moving in all the time, they may not know what a forensic center is. I mean, you hear the word and you think of the TV shows.
It has to do with providing the health care needs of a county that's almost 400,000 people and is now the fourth largest in the state. Every county our size or larger has a forensic center, except Rutherford County. We send a forensic center that does autopsies, and that's really, really important service for law enforcement investigations to determine the cause of death when the death isn't known, and especially if there may be a crime involved. And we can give examples after example after example about how the forensic center in Nashville didn't do a good job. And it was a tragedy to the families. As a matter of fact, you should have Commissioner Alan McAdoo on. He's got a personal story about how his brother passed away and the process involved in that. And Alan McAdoo and Pettit Street were tremendous voices in getting this done, and my appreciation to both of them. This county's been talking about a forensic center like it's been talking about a transfer station for years, and I have to say with a little bit of pride, you know, when I got to be mayor, it was time for the talking to be over and us to put together a plan and exercise that plan to fruition. So I and my team put together a plan to ensure that a forensic center would save the county money and provide a higher quality service, just like our transfer station is going to do with our solid waste. So we have a plan, and we execute that plan, and I'm grateful to the County Commission for approving it.
Now, you're anticipating groundbreaking will be July 1st. When do you think we will be there? We plan, it'll take about 18 months to construct, so we plan on being operational on or about January 2027. Okay.
So there's an 18-month construction cycle.
So by January of 2027?
On or about 2027.
Somewhere in that time frame.
That's right. I mean, it may be February, it may be December. We don't know, but our construction timeline says 1st of 2027.
I know in the past you had made some comments with Dr. McPhee at MTSU to see about getting them involved. as far as training people to be there?
Yeah,
anything on that?
No, kind of. We had a what I thought was a very productive meeting over a year ago. We were looking for a partnership there, and obviously to help us with the funding of the construction, and it didn't go anywhere. And I hate that because the county would love to partner with MTSU, but it just, for whatever reason, it didn't work out. So we've decided to move on, and if they want to come back to the table, we would love to see them. Them and Meharry Medical College, we were talking about those guys, and so the door is still open. We don't close doors; we keep doors open, and it'd be great if we can work something out. Absolutely, love to do that.
And this is going to be on Weekly Lane over near where the old Seward Air Force Base used to be.
Yes, that's exactly right. And if the people in Smyrna know where the clerk's office and the convenience center is on Weekly Lane and G Street, we have 17 acres there, and it's going to be a part of that 17-acre tract.
Okay. Now, with most of your facilities like this, obviously not with a forensic center, but other community centers involved, fire stations, what have you, you seem to cluster a lot of activities into one site.
Yes, that's not an accident. So, again, when I came into office, one of the things that I wanted to do is create synergy and efficiency for government, so that as government necessarily has to grow as a result of population growth, there should be economies of scale that are found in making government more efficient and cost effective to the individual taxpayer. One of the things that we wanted to do is take the existing land we had and use that land and consolidate and group services together so that people could go to generally one location and get a number of their needs met without having to go all over the county. Moreover, a lot of what we want to do within county government, Bart, is decentralize it just a little bit away from Murfreesboro. A large part of our growth is up in Smyrna and Laverne, and to be quite honestly, historically, the county services has ignored making those services more available to Smyrna and Laverne residents, and so that's something that I wanted to do, and that this 17-acre tract provided that opportunity in the form of a new EMS center, expanded parking for Lisa Kroll in the clerk's office, and then, of course, this forensic center. And this site will also have the availability of an additional, 7,000 square foot building that for some future purpose. So this is going to be a county campus to offer government services to the people.
So we will have our own forensic center. Rutherford County will have it. Groundbreaking on January the 1st. Estimated completion 18 months later, around January 2027.
That's correct. We'll start construction in July.
We will be back. Stay with us. Much more to come.
Receive breaking news, sports scores, traffic, and weather bulletins on your cell phone. Sign up for text alerts at WGNSradio.com.
Broadcasting from the Middle Tennessee Electric Studios, MTE has provided light, comfort, and connection to our community since 1936. As your trusted energy advisor, MTE is always here to help. Connect online or download the MyMTE app.
Alan Butcher was one of many local residents who only went to Adams Place.
Of course, Adams Place, in my mind, is the premier senior care facility, not only in Murfreesboro, but in the immediate area. We're very happy here and so glad we came.
Hi, this is Terry Deal at Adams Place. Call me for more information about Adams Place. Phone 615-904-9111.
Adams Place on Memorial, across from Walmart.
We'll see mostly sunny skies here this afternoon with a high in the upper 60s. Tonight, mostly clear and a low near 40. By Thursday, sunshine, high of 76 degrees. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki on News Radio WGNS. Currently, it's 48.
Looking for a lift kit for your truck or Jeep and need the right experts to install it? Look no further than Tire World in Murfreesboro, Smyrna, and Laverne.
Tire World, we keep your family rolling.
In today's changing world, you need a financial planner that you're comfortable with. Rely on the bonds that you've built with trusted friends at Old National Bank on Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard here in the borough. And if you just moved here, visit us and enjoy warm, homemade cookies.
Honey, the cookies are ready.
Like Grandma used to make. Old National Bank. We're better together.
2230 Dr. MLK Jr. Boulevard. Old National Bank. Member FDIC.
Hey, hi, and hello there.
Rutherford Issues with Brian Barrett.
Fun lovers and truth seekers.
Weekday mornings at 10 on WGNS AM FM online.
Welcome back. We are focusing on Rutherford County this morning. Rutherford County Mayor Joe Carr is our guest, and we have lots of text messages from you. This one's dealing with Plan Rutherford. The Plan Rutherford proposal aims to guide suburban development while preserving rural farmland, but it's faced opposition from property rights advocates. Give us an update on that and your feelings.
Jeff Phillips and Pettis Reed are, Pettis is chair of the steering committee for Plan Rutherford. Of course, Jeff chairs the planning commission. It is there, and it's working its way through the draft form. I know that farmers, realtors, home builders, individual citizens, all these different disparate groups are providing input as to what they think the plan looks like. But I want to emphasize something. It is just a plan. It's a plan for the county to move forward over the next 20 to 30 years, and any plan is going to be able to be flexible enough to make the necessary changes so that in the event that there are mistakes in the plan or the plan didn't consider something adequately or appropriately or anything at all, it can be adjusted. So this is just a plan, but it is meant to do two things. It's meant to, A, protect property rights, B, provide a managed way that we can grow that reflects our values and principles, and three, doesn't put an unnecessary strain on the infrastructure and our ability to provide for that infrastructure for not just those who currently live here, but for those who want to move here. So those are the three principles, and it's going to be tough, but I have all the confidence that we will hit that mark. And to the extent we don't, we'll make the changes so that it does.
Let's look at another issue that people are asking about, and that is changes in our county museum. There's been talk of adding it in other places, making it larger, but now we're reducing the hours.
That is thank you for bringing that up. Thank you very much. So the Rutherford County Courthouse is one of 5 or 6 courthouses in the state that are pre-Civil War. It is on the historic register. And literally the plumbing in that courthouse is like 100 years old, very, very old. And when we have an event on the square and we open the courthouse up, we literally on Monday mornings have maintenance come in and have to, let's just put it this way. It's very nasty where people still don't know how to use a toilet. And I hate to say that, but we have clogged toilets that are backed up and are overflowing, and it's disgusting. And it puts an incredible burden on that facility. And my first concern is that historic monument, that courthouse, and preserving it so future generations can enjoy it. And so when we have 3,000 and 4,000 and 5,000 people on the square for an event, and the county has opened up those restrooms, it puts a tremendous strain on the old man called the Rutherford County Courthouse, and he's not equipped to handle that strain. And so I had to make a difficult decision about what are we going to do. So we've decided to close the courthouse on the weekends, and quite honestly, after consulting with Pettis Reed and John Lodell, the Historical Society, they were concerned as well about security, about the historical artifacts that are in the courthouse. Moreover, we have offices in the courthouse, finance, trustee, and the mayor's, that probably aren't as secure as they otherwise would be. And so I made the very difficult decision, for security reasons, for the reasons to maintain the courthouse, and for the historical preservation of those artifacts, that it was in the best interest of the county to close it on the weekends. I regret that, but I'm very comfortable with that difficult decision.
So when you have the marketplace on the square, Friday Night Live, no bathrooms.
No, that is not true.
Okay, I misunderstood
that's
you.
Okay. No, you didn't misunderstand me. There's no bathroom access in the courthouse. Those events are required to provide restroom access, though. There is no requirement for that restroom access to be in the courthouse. So those events are required to provide restroom access for those participants. What we're saying is, and they should do that, what we're saying is that restroom access can no longer be provided by the courthouse because the courthouse just isn't equipped to handle it based on the volume.
So porta potties.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean,
I'm not a toilet specialist.
There's not a whole lot of other ways to go.
I'm not an expert in that, so I think you're right, but I don't want to say for those events. So yeah.
Is there a future plan of having public restrooms downtown that are capable of handling the amount of use that would bring on?
Well, that would be a question for Mayor McFarland, and that would be a question of where would you put it?
Don't know.
Me either. I mean, so it's a logistic question, and that's probably a question for Mayor McFarland because, I know this. How many stores and shops and law offices on the square want to make their offices available to people to use their restroom, right? So that's the question. So
that's why I said public restrooms.
Right. Well, but see, the courthouse is not a public restroom, yet has acted like a public restroom for a long time. And quite honestly, it's not equipped to do so any more than the law offices are, or Palace Barbershop, or the restaurants that are on the square, Puckett's, whatever. It's just not equipped to do that. And I think we need to kind of manage our expectations about the services that we provide in that regard. I mean, it's an unfortunate situation, and I hate it. I really do. But I think my first obligation is to that courthouse and preserving it for future generations. That's all.
Will this increase or slow down the potential of expanding the museum to the old Goldstein building?
It will have no effect on that. That's still on our radar. My first thing to do, though, is to find a home for the approximately 60 to 70 employees that are in the Goldstein building. Elections, codes, building and codes, planning and engineering, is to find a home for those employees so that then we can renovate the Goldstein building for a more permanent historical and cultural museum.
And on that note, we thank our Rutherford County Mayor Joe Carr for joining us this morning. Hope all of you have a super rest of the day. Stay with us.
Thank you, Bar.
Programming has been pre-recorded. The Good Neighbor Network, WGNS, Murfreesboro, Smyrna, flagship station for MTSU Sports. Courthouse clock time, 9 o'clock. Now an update from the WGNSradio.com News Center.
Gas prices in Rutherford County continue to offer some relief to drivers, with the average cost of regular unleaded sitting at $2.65 per gallon.